Today in the Soul Mechanics, we are going to talk about should Christians be activists? This is a controversial issue. Let me tell you what I think. But before we start, very quick, make sure that you have already subscribed to this channel. Click the bell button to not miss anything. Stay tuned. We are going to start in a moment. In order to make an accurate assessment, let us make sure that we understand the word of the hour. Activism. Merriam-Webster defines activism as a doctrine or practice that emphasizes direct, vigorous action, especially in support of or opposition to one side of a controversial issue. Direct, vigorous action. I should have said the word with more vigor. Let me try it again. Activism! That might be too much. I wonder what vigorous action look like. This is important because with many groups who claims to be activists, we cannot simply ascertain what constitutes a vigorous action. Thus, vigorous action simply means to stand up and speak up for what is right? Or does it also include, but not limited to, destruction of properties, disobedience and disrespect to authority, destabilizing the government, using children for propaganda, labeling, and in worst case scenario, rebellion? For the so-called Christian activists, these verses are used to justify their involvement. Proverbs chapter 31 verses 8 to 9 in the English Standard Version, it says, "Open your mouth for the mute, for the rights of all who are destitute. Open your mouth, judge righteously, defend the rights of the poor and needy." If Proverbs chapter 31 verses 8 to 9 is what it means to be a Christian activist, then I am all for it. The Bible is clear in all its pages that we should be the voice of the voiceless, help to the helpless, and defender of the defenseless. If this is what you do, then I am with you. When King David murdered Uriah the Hittite and took his wife as his own, the Lord sent the prophet Nathan to confront and rebuke David. When we suspect that our leaders sinned either by abuse or corruption, we can ask for accountability. But we should do this in the right way with the right motive. And as Christians, make sure that we have prayed before we protest, because only God can truly make a change. But what about this incident?
Jesus. Jesus, please.
Isn't that an example that sometimes we may have to flip some tables to make a point? Not necessarily. Let us consider the motive of the Lord. The Lord's motive is to honor God above all. It is His zeal for God that drove the Lord. Was He angry at that moment? Yes. But His anger comes from a righteous desire to honor God. Anger is not forbidden in the Bible as long as it is coming from a righteous cause. Does your anger comes from a righteous cause? Or is it hatred towards someone? Or is it out of rage? We must be careful when we are angry because the Bible warns us to not sin in our anger. So does this mean that as long as it is coming from a righteous motive, as long as our anger is a righteous anger, we can flip tables? We can debate all day if Jesus really had to flip tables just to accomplish His goal. But look at the reaction of the people in John chapter 2 verses 17 to 18. His disciples remembered that it was written, "Zeal for your house will consume me." So the Jews asked Him, "What sign will you show us for doing these things?" First, the disciples did not saw this as a violent display, but a display of zeal for God, a fulfillment of Psalms chapter 69 verse 9. They did not interpret this incident as a license to flip tables. We know this because when Jesus ascended, the disciple lived peacefully, focusing on preaching the gospel. So, if you decide to flip tables right now or get angry about something, will people see this as a zeal for God? Second, the Jews did not really protested on what Jesus did. They did not even say that what He did was wrong. Their only concern is if He has the authority to do it, and He must prove it. Essentially, what they are saying is, you are right to drive us out, but do you have the authority to do this? We know that Jesus has the authority. Do you have the authority to flip tables? Jesus driving the animals out and flipping the tables accomplishes what must be done in the first place, and that is driving them out in the temple courts. His actions resolve the problem. Now step back and consider for a moment. With whatever that concerns you right now, whatever angers you right now, will it be solved by flipping tables and driving people out? Will it be solved by destroying properties or hurting people? The point of this is, Will our action help or will it bring more problem? Will it be a good testimony to the unbelievers? And above all, will it glorify God? By the way, if you read carefully, no human was hurt in that incident. The whips were used for the animals. Furthermore, as Christians, we are exhorted to be subject to the governing authorities and not rebel in Romans chapter 13 verses 1 to 6. To pray for those who are in authority in 1 Timothy chapter 2 verses 1 to 2. Are you praying for the leaders that you criticize? So what should we take from all this? As Christians, we should speak for those who cannot speak for themselves, defend those who cannot defend themselves. But we should be mindful not only with our methods, but also with our motives. Always remember that you are an ambassador of the gospel and you represent Christ. Activism means a vigorous action. When people talk about activism in relation to Jesus, they see him in the temple driving people out, not him hanging on the cross drawing people near. What is the most vigorous action that Jesus ever did? It is not what he did in the temple. The most vigorous action that Jesus ever did is dying on the cross for you and me. If you want to speak up and stand up for something, do it for that message. Do it for the gospel. Hey guys, do you agree with me in this video or there is something that I missed? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if there's a topic that you want me to discuss, let me know as well. If this video is helpful to you, hit like, subscribe, share it to your friends and family. By the way, I made a video discussing the same story from a different angle and it is used as a Sunday message in my home church, SGCM Zamboanga. If you're interested to have a full worship experience, you can find the link in the description down below. But if you want the cut version, I will be also posting that same video here in this channel. Have a great day.